College Corner, today previewing the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl. No, it's not Pac-12 Big Ten. It is Alabama, Michigan, the two granddaddies of college football. I am so excited for this game. Me and Avery are going to this game. We will be in Pasadena for this game. Still don't have our tickets, though, so we should... I shouldn't even say that we're going to be there for sure, because who knows?
We'll be there. We got our guy there. But for one thing, I like watching the SEC at the Rose Bowl. I think it's cool.
It's going to feel weird, but
those colors awesome. Don't usually fly there, but boy, will they ever be.
Two schools from completely different parts of the country meeting up in another different part of the country. So
It'll be interesting.
I can't imagine to see what the crowd will be like.
I mean,
there.
Michigan's got grads all over. They'll show out for that. Yeah. Bama, they'll show out anywhere they're at. So I think it's a good color matchup too. When you're going to see the overhead fly here, you're going to have the yellow and you're going to have the red. It's a nice little mix, nice little clash of colors here. You'll really be able to tell where they're at.
So I'm getting the sentiment from when, you're not seeing Florida State in this game, you're seeing Alabama in this game. I feel like Alabama has that little bit of underlying, I don't think they're thinking about it too much, but point to prove of like, yes, we were the deserving team to be playing in this game. And it feels like a lot of people actually feel like not only does Alabama deserve to be here, it almost seems like people don't think Alabama should be that Michigan should be the favorite in this game.
Yeah, I can't agree with those people.
Like I see Michigan as the number one team in the country, and what I am seeing is the number 4 team in the country, Alabama, getting 76% of bets, 84% of money. They're definitely the team. It seems like a lot of people expect to walk away with a win in this game, and just since the line has opened at about Michigan 2.5, some places even 3, now down at -1, -1.5. But in the video, we're going to be breaking down each team offensively with the ball, what we expect these defenses to answer with. We'll have some player props from props.cash. If you guys haven't had the chance to check those guys out, the link will be down below in the description. Promo code OwnersBox, get you 25% off. We'll show you all about what their app and their platform does for you. But first thing I want to jump into is when Alabama has the ball, their offense, Jalen Milroe has done crazy, unpredictable, unthinkable type of things on the field the last couple of weeks of the season, getting them here to this point. My biggest takeaway defensively from Georgia in the SEC championship game was a lot of they played with a lot of they had 2 spies on the field, trusted their secondary to make plays. My question is Michigan's secondary as good as Georgia's is? Because I think Georgia's is probably the best in the country. Now Michigan is a team, and Michigan's a team I feel like hasn't been tested. Like there's a lot of things I feel like we don't know about this team yet, and it's the end of the season. It could be their last game of the year. Yeah,
100%, but I don't think Jalen Milroe is the quarterback to really test the secondary as they could be tested. We saw Kyle McCord. He didn't, fine in that game, right? But he's not a big-time quarterback, not a big-time arm. So I don't think they get the huge test that they're trying to avoid at this point for the Michigan defense. The numbers are crazy for the Michigan defense, rightfully so. Yeah. They're a fantastic unit all around. The one thing that I think they might struggle with a little more is they haven't faced a quarterback who's going to be able to run like Jalen Milroe can, right?
Yeah,
so that's a whole nother facet of the game where he can beat them. And I think that looks into a player prop that I like. I'll talk about later here in a second, but the rushing yards for Jalen Milroe is something I like a lot.
Yeah, Georgia did a good job taking it away. If you look at some of his rushing numbers during the year, he actually doesn't run the ball too much. It's almost like picking his spots. Like he has 2 games of 100+, and then you'll see other games where he has 10. I think Georgia only had 29, or do you have 29 or something like that, under the number that he's listed at for this game. But the big thing for me, and I always say this about Milroe, and I've said it throughout the year, I'm not a huge believer in him as a quarterback. I know we'll have some Alabama fans in here that probably disagree. My biggest gripe with him is it seems like everything he wants to happen with his arm has to be 20 yards downfield. Crazy stat. He has the same completion percentage on passes of 20+ air yards as he does of passes between 10 and 19 yards. So to me, it's all about, hey, let's force you to check the ball down. Let's force you to play between the 10s and the 20s, because Milroe to me doesn't have the touch. It's kind of that Joe Milton type of feel of can he finesse his way down the field? But again, I'm looking at this Michigan team, and I think about how they were all season long, where we had that long stretch where nobody entered the red zone against them. The only way anybody scored was by hitting a big play. And I looked at the numbers, and it actually is one thing that does concern me is Michigan secondary. They're giving up a 36.4% completion percentage on passes of 20+ air yards, which is 81st. And that's what Milroe wants to do. But can they, sustain drives by picking up first downs the traditional way as opposed to the big plays to be able to turn those big plays into touchdowns?
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be a big play offense for them because you look at the rush numbers for this Michigan defense, incredible, right? 3 yards per rush.
Yeah.
They're up 6th in the country. They're only getting rushed on 30 times a game. And again, some of those we know the Michigan schedule was crazy soft.
Yeah, 100%.
So they're up big in all these games. It might even take away some rushing attempts against because teams were just throwing the ball because they were down 20 points at every time and they had no chance against this Michigan front. So again, maybe stack the box on them. Good for some big play opportunities, and it will be interesting to see how they stack up because the Bama receivers still a decently talented bunch, right?
I do think that Michigan's got an advantage in the defensive side, like you said, not just because of how good they've been against the run. I don't really like Bama's running backs too much. Like I don't know where McClellan will be at for this game, but Roydell Williams, like these guys have not been super good this year, or super explosive players. So I think we are going to see a lot of Milroe. I think they're going to be throwing the ball quite a bit. It'll just be again about whether or not they hit these big plays because Milroe's been crazy. Milroe's completing 53.1% of his passes of 20-plus air yards. No turnover-worthy plays on these passes either. So when he's making these plays or looking to make these plays, he's doing it very strategically. He's not putting the ball in harm's way. That completion percentage is 3rd in the country. If Michigan can generate pressure, which I think they would do a better job than Georgia did, because Georgia's pass rush was not great this year. Michigan's a little bit better with Harrell and Moore. I really think this is a game that can get out of hand points-wise, like almost be like what TCU was last year, where you just you blink and all of a sudden we're going to see a bunch of points on the board. And I think it's because this is what Alabama has to do to win this game is hit those big plays. Because on a down-to-down basis, I do think Michigan has the edge. Because that Bama offensive line did have some struggles early in the year, has shaped up a bit, but like 114th in pressure rate allowed. The 4th highest sack rate. Milroe likes to hang on to the ball, but if he does, I think this is a team that can do a better job taking advantage of spying up, of ultimately getting after the quarterback and converting those pressures.
And that is my issue with me taking his rush yards as well. Obviously,
right?
College,
the college way,
getting sacked. Like it might be a run for your life type thing, but you break one for 60 and you get sacked
those
3
sacks
times. We're going to be in it. We're going to be in a decent spot at least. So interesting what you say about the total here because I feel the opposite way.
Yeah,
I understand they're going to have to throw for it, but. Not idiots. You have a month to game plan. They see the same numbers we do, right? And they are so trusted in their front to be able to stop the run where, hey, game plan a little different. Got to take those 20-plus yards downfield, plays away.
Yeah,
so I think we'll talk about when Michigan has the ball because we know what they like to do, and that's going to be eat clock,
run,
shove it down your throat.
Yeah, run the hell out of the ball. So we can go to that because I think that's a good way to transition. We've seen from. Like you look at the numbers for McCarthy, and McCarthy hasn't eclipsed 150 passing yards in 4 straight games. They're not utilizing the pass game. I think McCarthy's banged up. We talked about this when we did the Washington Texas preview. Thought that Washington would benefit a lot from some time off to heal up. I think Michigan will too. But the one thing I look at is just like they haven't involved those receivers. Like they haven't involved Roman Wilson, Cornelius Johnson. Will they do that in this game? Will they open things up in the pass game? What do you think? For me, I think you're still going to see him run the ball a ton.
It's
I don't
been
think
successful for 3 years now
Yeah.
with how they do it, so I don't think it'll be crazy. They trust JJ enough, but they don't want to put the game plan. They don't want to run the offense through his arm. I mean, when you look at all the quarterbacks left in the playoff, his average depth of target is by far the lowest, like close to the line of scrimmage the most often. JJ McCarthy. They understand those big boys can fucking work up front too. So even some screen passes, things like that is what they are good at. And it's why they have the 2nd highest completion percentage in the country too. They're not pushing the ball downfield via the pass. So again, I think you got a fantastic running back group there too. So I can't see them getting away. It would be hilarious as an Ohio State fan to see Harbaugh just try and throw the ball a ton.
Yeah, open things up.
He's not a dumb guy. I don't think
Bama's got a great secondary too. Kool-Aid McKinstry, Jalen Key, Malachi Moore. Those are the 3 guys that came into the year that everybody thought highly of. McKinstry's probably going to be a first-round pick. And then I look at some of the numbers from the one thing that concerns me is Michigan losing Zach Zinter, the right guard. A lot of people say this is the best offensive lineman that they have, and missing him in another big game will be really tough to play through. But they develop as well as any other team in the country. Probably the best. I think they have the best development in the entire country, to be honest with you. But what I did notice from Bama, which isn't up to their normal standards, is just the run defense has not been nearly as good as it was in previous years. They're like 51st in EPA against the run, 4.7 yards per carry is 52nd. I think Corum's going to get the ball a lot in this game. And that's the one thing I said, like the over, it kind of screams that way when it comes to Alabama. But we've seen Michigan, especially that Penn State game and that Ohio State game, that fourth quarter drive where they just bully you and they turn it into an 8-9 minute drive that like kind of kills the game, almost just takes the air out of the ball. And they could, I think they could certainly do that here. Like I think that they can move the ball on the ground against this Bama defensive front, which is talented, but hasn't played up to what you'd expect of them from previous years.
Well, how do you feel about who Bama's played and who Michigan has played? What do you take into handicapping the game? Who you think is going to win based on obviously strength of schedule, kind of opponents wise?
Like,
because is Michigan battle tested at this point?
No. Like I think they're like you look at Penn State, there was just no chance that Penn State was winning that game. They didn't have the quarterback play or just the offensive playmaking type of deal from their passing game. And then Ohio State with McCord, same deal. Like the quarterback play wasn't good enough.
And Milroe kind of, I think he's better than both of them.
Yeah,
So,
no, I do. I definitely would agree. I think that and then from the Alabama standpoint is you know they've been tested. They lost. That Texas lost. They've played Georgia. They've dealt with the tests of Auburn. Like the only real scare that Michigan had all year was that Maryland game, and never really felt like it was completely out of hand. So I think Corum will get the ball a ton. I was looking at some of these games that their closest games this year: Maryland, Penn State, and Ohio State, and Corum was like 28, 27, 22 carries. I think that's what you're going to see here.
Yep.
I think it's a good way to transition to some of the player prop stuff or the sides we like in this game. I like Corum over rushing yards at 78.5. You can see from props.cash, he's only over in 6 of 13 games this year, not a ton. But again, I look at the games, those specific games I mentioned, getting significant volume. I think the Bama pass rush or the run defense is their biggest issue here. So I do think that they can find some advantages there. Georgia did not take advantage of those opportunities. I don't think they have nearly the amount of talent on between Corum and then what Georgia has on the ground to be able to take advantage of it. So I like Michigan, or I like Corum to go over his yards, and then I like him to score. I love this one. I bet this the last couple of weeks. 2+ touchdowns.
Yep.
Plus 260 was the best number I can find. He scored 2+ in 5 straight. When this team gets in the red zone, it's Blake Corum. It's Blake Corum. It's the run game. It's run. I wouldn't expect that to change here. I think they can still do that. So I like him over. He's gone over 2+ TDs. He's gone for in 9 of 13 games.
That's crazy.
I can't believe we had a running back doing that. And Corum was like -175 to score against Iowa. He's like -200 in this game to score. So not as good of a price to play him just to score.
Yeah, so Jalen Milroe, his rushing yards, 32.5 is what I like. He's going to get sacked, so that's going to be the tough part. But I think, again, a scramble for your life type play where, I think they're going to be down.
We've seen the bear down and those gotta have it type of moments that he's definitely more than willing to use his legs.
Exactly. So I think we can get there. 32.5. Roman Wilson, Bama's going to stack the box, try and stop the run at some point. They're going to get receivers involved at some point in this game. His receiving yards 39.5. I kind of like that at some point. I would never touch JJ's over at this point, but I'm not so confident that I'm going to take his under passing yards. But I do like the under in this game as well. It screams 28-17 Michigan to me.
I like the over. We're going to be there, so I think I'm going to bet the over. So I'm going to bet the over. I like Michigan too. I think they're being a little bit disrespected, a team that can have, I think, some advantages running the ball. Even if Bama hits some of these explosive plays, they're still a tremendous defense when it comes to getting off the field, when it comes to the red zone. So I like Michigan. I like the over. And then a couple other things I've been thinking about. I don't think that Milroe's passing yards are a bad look either. It's like I can't remember what it was, 209, 215, whatever it was. It was low twos. Don't think that's a bad play because, again, I think Michigan takes away the run. I still think Milroe can hit some big plays if he does. This is a really low number for him. And then Jermaine Burton's the guy he goes to on the deep ball. I know you mentioned to me before you might play him to score.
Yeah, I might play him to score. That was the only touchdown score I have.
Yeah.
I don't think Milroe's a bad look either to score a touchdown.
No. Definitely not. It's just a low total. So if we're playing,
I don't want to have 5 different guys we're taking to score a touchdown here and then lose some money on it. But that's where I am excited to be there for this game. I think it's going to be incredible, man. Yeah. The scenes at the Rose Bowl, one of my favorite places I've ever been.
I just hope
favorite place I've ever been to watch a sporting event.
Yes, I want to get both teams' third quarter songs at some point in this game. Bright side.
You'll get it. There's enough TV timeouts for that.
All right. That is some of our favorite thoughts on this game between Alabama and Michigan. The Rose Bowl, granddaddy of all, should be a great game. Guys, if you haven't checked out our preview for Washington, Texas, go to the channel, hit that subscribe button, like the video as well if you enjoyed. Would really appreciate it if you do. And enjoy a great game, and I can't wait to hear from all of you in the comments section down below.